So thank you guys all for being here. We are very lucky and grateful to have the founder of TeenSpace, Nisha, with us today. So without giving too much away, Nisha has created an incredible platform for teen mental health and empowerment that spans across the United States. And we're very grateful to have you here to learn about how we could get involved um, and to hear about mental health, especially for teens, from you. Please join me in welcoming Nisha. Thank you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then feel free to share your screen as well.
As Juliet introduced, my name is Nisha. I'm a high school student at the Bergen Academies. I'm a sophomore and I live in New Jersey. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the TeenSpace, which is my nonprofit organization that I developed starting the summer before my freshman year. And going to be talking a little bit about how you can start your own initiative as well as a teenager if that's something that you're interested in. And I could like at the end of the slideshow, I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about different initiatives that could be started, which don't necessarily have to be nonprofit organizations. And yeah. So, to preface this presentation, I wanted to talk about what mental health is and the importance of teen mental health specifically, because I feel like understanding what the importance is and why it actually matters is necessary in order to cultivate a bigger impact with your organization. And that's like a piece of advice that I have to give out if you're interested in starting your own nonprofit. So, by definition, mental health is our emotional, psychological, and social well being, which impacts overall how we think, feel, and act. And this is closely interlinked with physical health, which I've learned from my studies at PCA for medical science. And unlike mental health disorders, mental health exists every day on a spectrum, which ranges from mental wellness to mental illness. And I included a little statistic over here that talks about mental health on a global scale, which I feel like is really important to have for a nonprofit because knowing and understanding the actual global impact, especially for a global nonprofit, is really important so that people can also understand what impact you're trying to make and what your targeted audience is. And for me, that's youth and adolescents. And 1 in 7 adolescents each year experience a mental health disorder. And I'm pretty sure that this statistic is only for teens in the US. And obviously, this, as you expand throughout the world, you understand how big of an amount of people this actually is. And a lot of what prevents people from seeking adequate mental health care is going to be touched on in the next slide, which talks about why mental health matters and mental health stigma, which I'm going to go over next. So, this is why mental health matters. And I talked about this a little bit in the last slide, but mental health is health. And according to the CDC, this is closely interlinked with physical health, and it actually affects many aspects of your life. This includes academic performance, which is something that I've seen firsthand with a lot of high schoolers in my high school. I've seen kids who are struggling mentally that actually perform worse academically, and it also just interlinks with your physical health and your overall performance in life. Untreated mental health disorders can also lead to risk of chronic illness and other health issues. Um, but a lot of the time, people do question why people with mental health struggles that build up over time don't just seek mental health like treatments like therapy. And a lot of this is caused by stigma. And now, what mental health stigma is, it's basically a sign of disgrace that's like put over a topic so that it's talked about less. It's kind of interconnected with um, taboo topics in mental health, and it has people speaking a lot less about their like mental health concerns. And some causes of stigma do include lack of education and lack of awareness, which TeenSpace works to combat through awareness posts on Instagram, as well as educational flyers and pamphlets that we distribute among local libraries in our community. And this also includes media portrayals of like people on movies and how they're portrayed with mental health disorders, and people eventually have some sort of like misunderstanding. There's misinformation that's being spread about what mental health disorders really are and how people act with them. And it just leads to people not seeking the care that they do ultimately deserve. TeenSpace works to essentially have people take that first step when they're struggling with mental health disorders and work with teenagers and other people, not promising professional mental health care, of course, to encourage them to take the next step in getting better. Now, what TeenSpace is actually about. So, TeenSpace is a student-led organization that is dedicated to creating safe spaces to promote discussion on taboo topics in teen mental health to combat mental health stigma. And this is taken through three pillars of awareness, advocacy, and action. I talked a little bit about awareness in our previous slide, but we have really active social media platforms that can be found on our website, and these include Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn too. We promote a lot of educational and informative digital awareness posts that are honestly monthly, and it's usually about um, like for December, we had seasonal affective disorder. We talk about a lot of these things on our podcast as well, with both experts and teens who have gone through it themselves. And research pamphlets are also created by our research director, and they're created monthly and distributed to libraries to promote mental health literacy and awareness as well. So that combats stigma pretty actively by not spreading misinformation and using sources, like trustworthy sources, to build our credibility. Our advocacy works with a by teens for teens kind of approach, and our podcasts and newsletters are handled by teenagers from my high school as well. And this works to essentially foster conversation among teens. It's peer-led organization, so basically, our podcast host kind of holds interviews with our with whoever we're interviewing, and this could be either an expert in the mental health field, or it could be as well a student who wants to talk about mental health in any shape or form. And our podcast is bi-weekly, so every other week we release a podcast episode, and it's usually on Saturdays or Sundays. And we have a monthly newsletter where we publish updates about TeenSpace and hopefully feature some teen voices with the purpose of amplifying teen voices, because we believe that it's really important to get the first step to be teenagers speaking about their mental health struggles or anything else that they may need. And now the bulk of our organization takes place in the action pillar, and we believe that creative outlets ultimately lead to creative solutions. Creative outlets, this could include writing, drawing, singing. It's a big part of who I am as a person. Um, and I created this organization to kind of explore different creative outlets and connect them with healthcare, which is something that I've been passionate about from a really young age. So some of our events that we've had in the previous events, they serve underserved teen populations, and they offer workshops, creative projects, and peer support. While simultaneously, we hold webinars, and they usually happen like kind of just like this, and they empower teens to pursue careers in mental health related fields. Unlike this, they are usually live events, so they're not recorded as like resources, but more as like people get to come and ask questions during our live Q&A sessions. And they're usually with experts in the mental health field. Our most recent webinar talked about how community can actually interconnect with mental health. And yeah, those are some of our webinars, which you will see in our next couple slides. So, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go over this in too much detail, but these are kind of just our metrics that I felt important to include in the slide. And this is our impact by the numbers, our Instagram followers, and how many people we've reached globally. We have 7 active chapters and over 70 active members in the state of New Jersey alone. And we have 100 downloads on our podcast from the last time that I've checked, and we've had 4 newsletters published, and one is on the way for our December newsletter. And We've had 100 teens impacted through our events, which I will be talking about more in our Take Action slide, which shows us in action during our events. And yeah. So this is a little bit about why I started the Teen Space. I'm going to read directly from the slide because I feel like it has all the words that I kind of wanted to say. And it just says that I've always used writing, creativity, and self-expression as ways to handle my own emotions. And when I realized how many teens never got access to these outlets, Teen Space became a way for me to essentially create a supportive place for them to share, connect, and feel understood. We've had a couple of press and media features, and one of which includes the Academy Chronicle, which is my school newspaper. I have a physical copy right here. It's a little bit like hard to see with the blurry background, but I was really excited to see that we made the front cover. They were talking about my new nonprofit organization. I had an interview with our writing director, who is part of our school newspaper, and Canvas Rebel and Channel Kindness. You can read a little bit more about these. I can send the link in the chat if you guys are interested. Yeah. And we've like essentially a lot of why I started TeenSpace is on these like press and media features, so I don't want to go into too much detail. You can read them in your own time. And this is the take action slide that I was talking about. And basically, these are some pictures from our card making event. This is one of our webinars. I don't know if you guys can see my pointer, but below, like to the left, there's a picture of our webinars. And then to the right of that, you can see some of the cards that we've made. Um, Over on the top right, that's me and the founder of one of the organizations we collabed with, Project Shelterway. And we basically went over to Covenant House in New Jersey and we donated a bunch of the care kits and, as you can see, the cards in those care kits for homeless teens. Covenant House is an organization that works with homeless teens that actually have mental health struggles as well. And it's curated specifically for teens and younger people. So we decided to collab and donate our stuff there. We produced over 50 care kits, so it impacted already about 50 teens, and that was our first ever event. Our upcoming event is actually happening on the 23rd, and we've been accepting in-kind donations from a bunch of people in my high school and in my community as well for stuff like fidget toys, blankets, plushies, coloring books, and arts and crafts supplies to donate to Hackensack Meridian Health Children's Hospital. And we're going to be donating there on the 23rd after we package them. Right now we have like 3 boxes currently filled up of donations for those people. And yeah, it's just meant to spread like holiday cheer as well. We might have another card making event for that as well to make them just a little bit more personalized. And yeah. So, if you're interested, there are many ways to get involved in the teen space, and one of this is my membership and just general membership. You can get involved in any creative or outreach ex aspect of the organization that you want. There's a form on the website to be a teen space member, and I can send that in the chat if you guys are interested. If you're interested in our advocacy aspect of our organization or just spreading awareness, you can be featured on our podcast or our newsletter if you're interested in writing or storytelling. You can also submit anonymously, so there's no pressure to have your name or your face anywhere if you're not comfortable with that. And you can also, if you're interested in getting involved even further, you notice that there might be some students or teenagers with mental health struggles in your region, or if you noticed on the slide previously that your state, country, or region doesn't have a Teen Space chapter and you're perhaps interested in starting one, there's an application on our website and they're accepted year-round. You can also just shoot the Teen Space, the official teenspace at gmail.com an email with your proposal if you're interested in that for any of these. And I can just send you the link from there. There's an application on our website. There's a couple of general questions. There's no eligibility criteria to be a chapter leader. You kind of just have to be interested in mental health or psychology, any sorts, and have the time commitment availability to be present at meetings maybe twice a month and just to get you on track for your event and make sure that you're actually making an impact in your region. Um, and yeah. So this is the big part of this seminar, and it's how do you start your own initiative? Maybe if mental health isn't exactly your niche area, and you're interested in other topics, like off the top of my head, like environmental science, research, anything like that, or just healthcare in general. Maybe there's another topic in healthcare that you're interested in. There are a bunch of ways to start your own initiative, and as a lot of people call it, passion projects for college. I know a lot of people do start these just for college, but I do recommend starting a passion project around something that aligns with your core values and what you are interested in and genuinely passionate about. So this can start with just brainstorming. Keep a notebook or a Google document with any of your ideas. Think about something that genuinely affects you or something that you're passionate about and something that has like true impact, as you guys saw with some of the metrics in my previous slide, something that you can quantify as well. And something that you can actually make an impact with. So, if it is a nonprofit, for example, something that you can actually host events around, have a clear target audience, and make sure that it's not, I guess, too broad of a topic as well. But your initiatives don't also have to be nonprofits. If like we're talking about initiative like as it is, it can be a podcast, it can be a magazine. I know a lot of my friends are planning on publishing research as well in topics that they're interested in or writing books. And this all starts with brainstorming. Brainstorm on life events that have happened to you, so that fuels your why as well, and it motivates you to actually continue on with your organization or whatever it is that you're planning on pursuing for the rest of your high school career. And I also recommend starting early. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to just like stop it when you graduate high school. You can continue it until college and like beyond. But yeah, it's really important to pick something that you're passionate about, or else it's just gonna you're just gonna burn out. And yeah. I recommend advertising very strongly after you have your idea. Advertise on Instagram. That's a big thing that a lot of at least my friends who start organizations or clubs or anything related to that, they advertise on Instagram. They recruit an executive board, which is usually like maybe two or three friends to start with. And then they have a little post with like a Google form that's like, oh, if you're interested, you can join our executive board. It creates leadership positions and it also boosts your resume as well. And that's also how people advertise for chapter leads. Yeah, so. You can advertise your idea to educators or teachers around you in school and online. And a big part of this is done by cold emailing. Um, there's a lot of YouTube tutorials also on cold emailing. You can cold email professors, you can cold email people in your field that you know of personally, or you can ask even your teachers at your school if they know anyone in this field, and then you can email them about like advice, or you could email them to maybe speak on your podcast, maybe do an interview with them for like your like book or anything like that. And yeah. And lastly is to plan and execute your idea. So depending on the kind of initiative, this could include brainstorming events with your leadership board, getting any necessary supplies or again connections to maybe speak on your podcast or something. I know we only have like 9 minutes left, but um outreach and there's a lot of ways that you can plan and execute it. I know I'm talking very generally since it's just how to start your own initiative, but for my nonprofit, I started with brainstorming events and then someone reached out to me for collaboration, and that's how we got our first event. And then I cold emailed a bunch of hospitals and libraries, and that's how we're planning on getting events in the future. As for our podcast, I work really closely with my podcast host, and I work really closely with the people on our newsletter as well, so that I can make sure that those stay running as well. And also note that if you're starting your own initiative, it's really difficult to do things on your own, especially for a nonprofit. It's really important to have people that you trust to do work on your board as well, so that you're not doing everything all by yourself. because it's a lot of pressure and you also have to balance a lot of other extracurriculars as well as your academics as well. So yeah. And that's it for my presentation. If any of you guys have any questions, you can feel free to like drop them in the chat or unmute. But yeah, that's it for me.
All right, thank you so much, Nisha. That was a really inspiring presentation. And I hope everyone who's watching this here and in the recording later, they're inspired by your work and you had some really great tips on starting your own initiative. And they also really resonated with us as well at HSHRF.
This is also on our website. Um, I mean, I could share the link. But if you're on your laptop, you use your phone to scan this. Otherwise, um, I'll put this in the chat as well if I can while sharing.
Yeah, so for this seminar and future seminars we host, people who come to our seminars can request 2 volunteer hours. And again, this will be the same for all future seminars, and we do take roll during our meetings. So make sure you select the correct seminar if you're requesting volunteer hours.
And for anyone watching this who is also interested in presenting either their nonprofit work or their research in health, we also offer 10 service hours for hosting your own seminar like this.